So I'm giving this presentation on behalf of one of my postdocs, Grace Castleberry, who couldn't be here, and taking you to a different part of the world where I've been doing a lot of research on golden dorado in the Neotropics in South America. Essentially, this talk is a culmination of an angler survey that we did in conjunction with a project that we're using to use genomics to understand connectivity of golden dorado within their watershed. I want to acknowledge a whole slew of co-authors from lots of different countries that participated in this part of the project. Golden dorado are an amazing fish in big freshwater systems. They're growing in popularity from a recreational angling standpoint, both domestically and internationally. There's not a lot of statistics that are behind that growth, so hopefully we wanted to get into that in terms of the survey. If anybody has fished for them, they put up a super dramatic fight. They have gnarly teeth. They have a really nasty attitude. They want to bite you. There's a brilliant coloration. And at the same time, there's limited data on catch and release and angler practices. The species, I think I have a map on the next slide. This is funny when you get somebody else's slides and you have to kind of remember, what am I saying? Okay, the native range for golden dorado is over 3 million square kilometers. So it's a massive range covering Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, a little bit in Bolivia. This is interesting from some of the stuff that I'm going to show you on Thursday in another talk. And then it's been introduced in some places in Brazil. There's been only 2 studies done on impacts in catch and release. One done from my lab back in 2016, and another more recent one with golden dorado held in an aquaculture facility. There hasn't been a lot. There's been some work done on movement ecology, very little done on trophic ecology. So it's a data poor fishery. There's also been some social science, but it was a limited sample size and mainly focused on fly anglers that were traveling to Argentina to go fish for golden dorado. So not a good representation of the recreational fishery in general. With that in mind, because of the way that we were using anglers and community science to collect fin clips for the genetics study, we also recognized we had this great network of local anglers across so many different countries to start asking some of these questions that would fill important gaps in terms of the nature of the recreational fishery. And so what we did is the goals of the survey that we developed were we wanted to know what the different fishing practices were for targeting golden dorado, the awareness of any potential threats to the fishery, what sort of responsibilities anglers feel that they have in terms of the care and the future for golden dorado. And also we asked, so what are the motivations of aspiring anglers? So in our survey, we said, have you ever fished for golden dorado? And if it says no, we said, are you planning to even think about going to fish for golden dorado in the next 3 years? And if it was yes, then we asked them a series of questions, which allowed us to really think about the information that they may ultimately receive or the gaps in knowledge that they may have as future anglers for this species. All right. It was an online, non-probabilistic survey because we needed to get to people that focused on golden dorado. We used snowball sampling. We took some time, but we translated the survey into Spanish and Portuguese to make it very accessible in terms of the different countries. The survey mechanism was distributed between November 2024 and March 2025. A little over 1,200 initial responses, 800 complete responses. And then we used chi-squared for testing for differences among different angler groups. And gnarly fish, big teeth, they're really In terms of the distribution of respondents, we had great representation in South America, Brazil, the frequency, brighter yellow, more responses. Argentina was well represented, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, and Brazil. We had great representation broadly across different continents, Australia, India, UK. So we had a really good representation in terms of potential travelers and things that people that want to come to go wrangle golden dorado. Typical respondent, no surprise. Median target males between, these are people that targeted golden dorado, 35 to 44 years old, predominantly from Argentina, with 15 years of experience and that target golden dorado 25 times a year or more, which is pretty wild. They're incredibly passionate about fishing for golden dorado. The aspiring anglers, the median, so they were male, a little older in the demographic, 55 to 64, and predominantly from the US. So thinking about if you're targeting information campaigns, that the US market is something to focus in on. How am I doing? Okay. This is the first time we've seen data like this, which is great. The data is also still being analyzed. But in terms of this is looking at different fishing practices by fly anglers, conventional gear users that just use artificial lures, and conventional gear anglers that use live or dead bait. And I believe, and so never is in the green, most always is in the sort of golden dorado yellow. And I think there's some animation here. Yes. Interesting to point out that there's across all three groups, or for live bait and fly fishing, single J-hook, a little less so for artificial lures and conventional lures, so likely leaving some treble hooks on. We wanted to see if people were starting to switch from treble hooks to multiple J-hooks through some of their questions. And so we want to dive a little bit more into that comparison, but it does look like there is some multiple J-hooks being used. That in terms of the multiple treble hooks, obviously not in fly fishing, and a little bit more on the artificial lure side and less on the bait side. When it came to air exposure, fly anglers definitely not air exposing fish as much as folks that use conventional gear, whether you're on the artificial lure side or the live or dead bait side. And then the use of dehooking tools, definitely more use of lip grippers, boga grips, and other things on they have gnarly teeth, right? So for the conventional gear users, less so on fly anglers, because sometimes with a single hook, it's still easy relatively to grab the hook, even though they might bite you, to turn the hook. And then the use of dehooking tools, again, sort of more so on the artificial lure side, a little bit on the conventional, on the bait side, and less so on the fly side. But good baseline foundational data to have that we haven't had before. Okay. Then thinking about how respondents felt about their role in terms of the populations, what are influencing the current status of the populations of golden dorado. We've got fisheries management agencies, foreign fishing pressure, subsistence harvest of prey species, other things that have come up in other parts of the world, right? United States right now, harvest of bunker and menhaden is like off the charts as advocacy groups are worried about how that's impacting things like the prey for tarpon and other things. So we wanted to see if any of that was starting to percolate down into the Neotropics. We also, good, I'm good. We also looked at whether the folks were close to home or far from home. And so we wanted to see if that influenced their opinions. And what's interesting here, and we still want to tease this apart a little bit more, but there was a positive influence of fishing pressure. And so, and I get to this in my last slide, and we want to think that maybe there's the belief that if there's more fishing, there might be more advocacy for fishing that's happening, and more advocacy for conservation of those fish that they're targeting. So we want to tease that apart a little bit more, and we can do that with a bit more analysis of the data. In terms of how much or little do you feel are the following groups responsible for overcoming the threats? The largest outcome here is thinking about, we were surprised again that the industry groups, especially for people that are further away, the industry should be promoting a bit more about reducing the threats. And there was a little bit in terms of the differences in the perceptions of foreign anglers between those that have traveled further than 100 kilometers than those that have traveled less. So it was really interesting to start to then tease apart some of these analyses. For inspiring golden dorado anglers, they're mainly fly anglers from the US. They would use an outfitter to book the trip. They wouldn't sort of do-it-yourself. 30%, this is interesting, 30% would pursue other leisure activities during their trip. So it's not necessarily about just fishing for golden dorado. There was also an interesting point here that 71% were unaware of the current or potential threats to golden dorado. So I think if we're promoting tourism to in the Neotropics, it might be interesting to also increase awareness from a conservation standpoint about what are the things that might be influencing those stocks. And then lastly, as we're digging into it, what are your motivations in terms of why do you want to fish for golden dorado? Is it trophy? Not really. More so on the rod and reel side versus fly. What we did see, I think there's an animation. Nope, no animation. Go back. Is that really it's the thrill of the catch, the challenge, the experience of a novel environment, and experiencing a new culture. So it's not just a fish-specific demand that's influencing the interest of going down to fish for golden dorado. And so the inspiring anglers, they agree with and the threats to the stewardship. They agree with the current anglers. Recreational fishing pressure, again, seems like a positive draw. The aspiring anglers did point to commercial fishing and the harvest of prey, probably because of what they're hearing a lot about in North America. There was less emphasis on individual anglers as stewards, and more emphasis on NGOs and federal management for the conservation of golden dorado. All right, yeah, and we'll just skip to the end. Most of this is pretty straightforward, and I don't want to wait. Mixed adoptions, perceived differences, and I really want to dig into this a bit more about the idea of the difference, that how recreational angling can make a positive effect. So we're going to skip to the last slide, and thank you very much.